The views and opinions expressed on Betrayal, Why Did They Snap? Are those of the hosts and guests and are provided for educational, informational, and discussion purposes only. This program discusses real court cases, public news stories, and documented events as reported by reputable media sources. We do not claim to know the private thoughts, motives, mental health diagnosis, or intent of any individual unless such information has been formally established in public records or court findings. Nothing discussed on this show should be construed as legal advice, medical advice, psychological diagnosis, or professional counseling. Listeners are encouraged to seek qualified legal, medical, or mental health professionals for guidance related to their specific circumstances. While we strive for accuracy, information may evolve as cases progress, and we encourage listeners to verify facts independently. The hosts do not assert guilt, innocence, or liability beyond what has been publicly reported or adjudicated. This program is not intended to defame, harass, or harm any individual. Any commentary is focused on behaviors, patterns, and publicly known events, not personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised, as this show may include discussions of trauma, violence, betrayal, and criminal behavior. And we're on. Okay, guys, welcome back to Betrayal. Why Did They Snap? You guys, this is our first real episode because our first episode was really Laurie and I introducing ourselves. But today we are going to talk about betrayal for real. We're going to dissect, poke, and debrief every part till we understand what really happened. How did it happen and why? Why did they snap? And what happened to the person who was betrayed? I'm Trina Laird.
And I'm Laurie McDermott. And do we have an investigation to talk about today? The many betrayals in the true story, which is now in a movie called Eden. You can see it on Netflix. And I saw the movie 3 days ago, and I still feel sick to my stomach that people can be so horrific. This movie is true. It's old, but it's true. And those same qualities are still existing today. Directed by Ron Howard, who I absolutely love for all the true stories he is now making.
Right? Eden is a bizarre, unsolved, true mystery from the 1930s on the Galapagos Islands, involving clashes, lovers, a possible mistress, jealousy, suspicious deaths like food poisoning, and unexplained findings of bodies on other islands, and 2 stories by 2 different women.
Okay, so listen, I know who I believe in this story, and you and I both have watched it. But first, I want to talk about all of the betrayals. Like, it's like a neighborhood being shifted onto an island with just 3 couples. And a lot of it makes sense because when you separate yourself from the world and plan on making it a better life with no rules, no guidelines, all hell can break loose. People go crazy like The Shining. You know, that guy and his family alone in the mountains. People go nuts. Or in that other old movie they remade, what was that called? The one with Piggy, a bunch of boys on the island. What was that called? Oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. Do you remember that?
Oh, Lost Boys?
No? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Lord of the Flies.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
No, not the Rings, the Flies.
Oh, Lord of the Flies.
Of the Flies. Horrific, disgusting movie about children that gets shipwrecked or their plane crashes on an island and they become this society and they elect leaders and they end up killing one of their own because it's kind of like Hitler. Evil can exist when people are left to their own devices.
Yeah, Eden isn't about survival on an island. It's about what happens when people betray reality and the people who trusted them in the name of freedom.
Mm-hmm. And who was really free? Let's go through the evil people that we saw on there. For example,
Okay.
The doctor. He was a doctor who went to Eden to become, just to have a free life, to make his own food because they're all both vegetarians, this woman and him. And they go to this Galapagos Island and they're going to have this amazing life. But here's the part that gets wicked. He starts sending letters back to other places about how wonderful it is, about how amazing it is, which I'm sure it is. But what does that do to the people somewhere else? They want to come to the island. They wanna be there, they wanna have a part of it. So when they start showing up, he feels invaded, but he's the one who sent out the invitation by saying how wonderful it was. Do you think it was wonderful?
Well, he opened the door to it,
Mm,
and, I think as we watch the movie like, in the beginning, I think, "Oh my god, he's so smart, and what a great guy," and all that, but then I realized, "Whoa," and, like, in the first romantic scene with his girlfriend, I guess, with Dora, you realize, "Whoa, this guy's a little controlling," um, and, you know, through the 2 hours, you realize he's totally narcissistic and highly controlling, and, yeah, he wants everything his way or no way.
mhm, and so when those people start showing up, and the first couple that show up, they end up getting pregnant, and they have a boy with them who's sick. So they go to seek his help, and he says, "No." The narcissist says, "I'm not helping you," which is against like, who doesn't help their neighbor?
Who does that? And that was my first I wasn't happy about his first little scene where he's a little bossy with his girlfriend, in bed, and then, that was really subtle, but it was a glimpse into his personality, and then when he rejected offering help
Mm.
to help them for their son, that was like, "Okay, this is not the neighbor you want,"
And then she
you know?
started doing it too. I mean, that woman, we know she had
Oh,
MS in real life and
yeah.
in the film, and while she has MS, people who have MS, they need help. And so
Mhm.
coming from a place of being sick and rejecting other people who need help is just a
Yeah,
betrayal of humanity, just in general.
that's right.
And what I thought was cool was over time, she started to get angry with him, but I don't wanna talk about that yet. So let's go to the betrayal
Yeah.
of the couple that arrived first. What do you think happened there?
But you know what? Dora, that is a symptom of people who are or like coercive control.
Mm.
They lose themselves and they fall under the spell of that narcissistic controller, and that's what she was doing. Had she not been under his thumb, she probably wouldn't have been like that, but she
Mhm.
was trying to honor him. And you know what? We she was probably walking on eggshells.
Okay, so let's break for a second because you think about like husbands, like we're supposed to respect a husband. Are we supposed to respect a husband that does something awful? That we
Well,
should
he wasn't her husband. Remember, he was like, he didn't believe in marriage. Marriage ruins people or whatever.
That's right. You're right.
Okay, I'm gonna say the first betrayal I feel like was the doctor selling a fantasy. Like, "This will be better, society is the problem, and, I see what others don't." He really thought he was gonna create an Eden, something better, something so much better than society. But you know what? If he's creating that and he's gonna be the only one there or among the very few people there, um we don't have enough islands in the world to go around so everybody can have their own little island. I mean, that just makes no sense in a way. Do
Right,
do you know what I mean?
but if you do have an island, it's like, how do you keep the goodness going if, you know, there's no light or structure or the way to do things? Like, there's no God or the universe or something you're believing in that keeps you to a like, a restricted behavior that you don't get out of control. Because over time, the other people that come into the island get just as destructive. And let's talk about the husband and the wife who show up with their son, they seem to be the most sensible. I don't really see any betrayal between them. However, when there's that moment where they can actually wipe out 2 people and they take that out. Um,
I'll just say one thing. I feel like civilization does exist for a reason, and not to imprison us, but to protect us from our worst impulses, and that is what we see in that movie, is the worst impulses
Mhm.
come out.
That's right.
And, you know, and they say when people isolate like that, that's when you see the real them, and that's what we see when they're pushed up against corner. My favorite character was Margaret. I think she was like the only non-evil. She didn't get involved in any, murderous aspects.
That was because she's a mother. Mother bears have instinct that go beyond any scope of reality that exists in our planet. We see her protecting those children. Even though that first child wasn't hers, she still had the instinct to protect and grow a family. And that's the
And
remember.
fight off the wolves and the dogs.
Yes,
My
as
god.
she's
I
delivering a baby by
Yeah,
herself. Who
yeah.
wants to do that? No.
Kudos to Margaret.
N
She is like the woman of the year, for real, and
no
she's still there. Doesn't sh I think she still lives there and her heirs live there.
Oh, she actually passed away.
We don't wanna ruin the movie for everybody, but you gotta watch the movie to the end to find out what's going on in today, 'cause
Yes.
the
And
it
Margaret did pass away in
people's
2020, I think, or
Oh, she
2000.
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's passed. But
Wow.
her so, okay, so where do so let do you wanna should we talk about the 3rd couple? Or the 3rd
Yeah, you
gathering?
go on. Go yeah, you take it. Take the ball. Oh, the Baroness.
Yeah, sorry, say that again?
Ugh, the Baroness. Ugh,
She
ugh.
wasn't a baroness, though. She was a
Yeah,
liar.
she was a total fraud,
Total
and you
fraud.
know what? She reminds me of, like, horse faces or home wreckers or,
Mhm.
people she was just horrendous, and I just love when she, was turned down
So
by
let's
the
set this up.
explorer
We're
guy.
not gonna ruin it for you guys, but what happens is, this is how this should be in the world. When a woman comes up to her husband and she starts to say, "Hey," and she starts to flirt and she's sexy, the man on the island turned to her, looked at her, and said, "No, thank you." And she was blown away like, "How could you reject me?" And she acted out again like, "I'm advancing and tempting you one more time." And he stood up and said, no, thanks," in the most
Yeah.
plainest English that made you feel she just got shut down. And
Oh, I love it, and when she said, "You're gonna regret this," he said, "I don't think so."
but think about it. If every man
And
in
she was
every
gorgeous,
bar
absolutely gorgeous,
but think about it, if every man in every bar on the planet behaved that way when a temptress, a woman who thinks she's
Mhm.
gonna snare away a married man into her realm, does what that man did, we wouldn't have the cheating going on in this world.
Yeah.
And I no one's gonna watch it and pay attention to that, but people like us who have been betrayed, we got it, got the note, it was memoed.
Yeah, and I don't maybe he was homosexual, I don't know if he was married or not, but he just turned her down, and I don't know why he turned her down, um, but I also really didn't like the way she was manipulating the 2 guys that she was involved with, that was so unfair to them, and you see that. You see that play out, how they're just pawns in her little game of control, and that was really sad.
She was sneaky and awful, and she had an agenda that she wanted. That is narcissism all the way, and she doesn't care who she hurts or kills, which is
Mhm.
I mean, that you think about what wicked and evil is, she did r that actress was phenomenal. Great
Yeah.
job. It's worth it seeing it for her just alone. Yeah, she is a horse face. She's everything embodied into just disgusting. What's that other one? She's the Jezebel spirit. Wicked,
Yeah,
right out of the
exactly.
Bible. You just wanna shoot her, but men
Yeah.
get lured into
Well
her.
yeah, too bad she doesn't get trampled by horses and eaten by dogs. Um,
In the
you know?
end, I truly believe that's what happens to these women. If they do not change, that is how their life turns out. They are the old, yucky people in the world that hate everybody or hide in their homes because they have no place to go because the world doesn't
Exactly.
accept them. At the end of the day, not today. But, you betray someone like that, you are wicked and evil like that, I believe it shows up on your face, and you start
Yeah.
to look ugly because your soul is ugly, and it
Oh,
comes out of your
totally.
skin. You see people like
Well,
that?
what do you think about the end when, the doctor said something to, his wife to Dora, his girlfriend, I guess, when he says to her, "I curse you with my dying breath." What do you think about that? Do you think she
Oh.
was really cursed from then on? Like, can a narcissist really play a curse on someone, you know?
Well,
Because
so
they're sorta cursed.
I don't know the truth of that story, and there's 2 stories that happened.
After she leaves the island, I think she lives another 13 or so years before she passes away. She eventually passes away from complications of MS.
Yeah, she ends up dying, right?
Mhm,
So do everybody else. One of the interesting things I think I hear about is Dora had her opinion about what happened in the story, and so did Margaret.
mhm,
And it was there's 2 discrepancies. One is how the people died, and we're not gonna give that away, but how did the couple people on the island died and left? They both
mhm.
have separate stories. So, what is the truth? And Ron Howard chose to pick one of their stories to play out. And then for the end, he chose the other story, which I found was very interesting. And I don't want to ruin it for people, but I will say at the end, it is very interesting to me because when you are sick or not well as a woman, this is just something I found over my research. You don't want to be apart from a husband. Kids will be with parents who abuse them. Adults will be with abusers because they don't want to be separated from them. And they've been on this island by themselves forever. So the ending part where Dora gets accused of actually poisoning him intentionally, I don't believe that's true. Here's why. Because the reason she was late coming up to get Margaret, Margaret said, well, she took a long time to come up here. She obviously intentionally tried to kill him. But here's the point. Did she? Because she had MS. She was slow to walk and she was very sickly by then. Maybe it took her 10 times longer to get up there. And now he was even worse. So we don't know that truth. Margaret does, and so does Dora. But on the other side, that tainted chicken, Dora would never eat because she's a vegetarian. So how did it get into his system? She brought it there, but did she know what was happening? Maybe she just wanted to punish him a little bit, get him sick, and, show her who has the muscle here, or make him sick so he's kinder to her so she can nurse him back to health, which some women do that. I don't think she intended for him to die because now she's really alone. She doesn't want to be alone.
That's
People
true.
with MS don't want to be alone. So but she was punished for being the killer for that. She was taken away because they assumed she was killed. She killed him.
Well, we don't.
That is what some of this. So at the end, when she's being walked off the island with the authorities.
Oh, I thought she was just leaving the island because now she doesn't have somebody to be with.
Well,
going back to
so that's
civilization.
what's so interesting because this happened so long ago, and there's so many versions. There's Dora and there's Margaret, and they're playing out at the same time. In Dora's version, she was taken off the island with these people because they thought she killed him. In Margaret's eyes, she did kill him because she took too long to come up. So obviously there was some kind of intention here. But
Yeah.
Margaret's the one who gave her the yucky chicken to kill the husband. So it's like, what? I've read so many things about it.
No, she didn't give her bad chicken. She gave her the chicken was good. I think.
Oh, sorry.
I think
Yes, you're
Dora
right.
looked. I think Dora looked at the boars or the bad animals and decided, oh, I'm going to give him that.
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't think she intended to kill him. But if my lover put a pliers in my mouth and pulled out my damn tooth, I'd be pretty flippin' mad. And he would have gastrointestinal distress for weeks to come,
Mm.
because that was really brutal. That was really brutal. And you could see it's a missing tooth in the front of her mouth,
How do they even
That's
do
bad.
that? It was bad. Yeah. So, but does that make you, as a woman who is sick and needs somebody who's cared for you for so long, want to kill? I don't know.
No, not, and I don't think she had it in her to wanna kill him. I think she was just mad because she is an independent woman and strong, and she is, you can tell, she's an independent mind, but,
And she also,
but she's also been under his thumb and controlled coercively too,
but
you know?
she
But
also,
I think she knew she could get him sick, and she probably just wanted to get him sick with the
Mhm.
toxin,
She
and he
also,
died, you know,
Mhm.
accidentally.
Yes. Yes, supposedly. She also saw or felt that he was part of the way that the people on the island disappeared, the baroness disappeared, and she knew that, and
Mhm.
I think that was in her mind, and so when someone has a thought like that, it's easy to want to betray someone if you think someone did something to someone else or to you it's hurt people get hurt people. So she was hurt by what's going on and thought, "Uh-oh, did he have something to do with it? Who had something to do with it?" And so maybe that's why she gave him the bad chicken just to say, But then what happened is once he
Yeah.
got sick and before he got sick, once that whole scene where those people disappeared,
Uh-huh.
everybody started looking out for themselves like, oh, who's going to kill the next group? Who's going to die next? Because now it's open game. If someone can die and no one knows about it, someone could just disappear and no one knows about it. Can you imagine living in that?
No. It would be scary, every time you hear a creak in the woods, and I couldn't believe what was going on that island with the theft of stuff and, selling stuff for money. I'm like, "Where are you gonna go spend that money? What are you gonna do with that?" You know? It was
And
crazy.
how many
It was
canned goods do you even have, right? Like, this
right.
botulism and all those things didn't get them. So there must have been
Yeah.
more ships coming that we didn't see,
Yeah.
you know? They make
Yeah.
it seem like it's so desolate, and it looks like it on a map, if you look at a map where the
Yeah.
Galapagos are, but, we really don't know the truth.
Yeah. But it did, I really am I'm not inclined to wanna go stay on a desert island now, and, the
Well,
snake going into the purse was probably my first clue, like, "Maybe I shouldn't be here."
right, who wants that? The snake,
Yeah.
the serpent,
But anyway,
staring
betrayal
at it.
was insane,
Well,
and that just shows you how betrayal you could be on a deserted island, you could be in the biggest city in the world. It will find you anywhere. People betray. People just can't for some reason, when they're faced with doing the right thing or the honorable thing, they sometimes don't.
why is that?
And the doctor, yeah, why is that? His narcissistic self,
Yes.
little
Selfish.
thing in his head, we saw he didn't go and help the son. He wasn't, kind to his girlfriend, Dora. He didn't go out of his way to help people until the baby, which was shocking, you know? I was really surprised with that. Do you know why he went ahead and helped the Margaret when she was sick?
I think it was just I don't know. It's a great thing. You can almost see him choosing that, like, "Oh, I think I need to help,"
Because he
and
rushed over there and made it happen.
you felt like I think was that before or after the scandal? That was after, right?
Before.
Before.
Before, it was early. Uh-huh.
I think they were starting to bond, and when you start to bond with people, that's where connections come and betrayal is
Mm.
less.
And that's true. He didn't really, I think, um, and then the 2 men, the 2 lovers trying to steal goods while that poor woman is about to go into labor and having real huge issues and dogs barking and chasing her and attacking her, and these 2 guys are hiding, watching that whole thing. I'm like, "What is wrong with you people?"
And the
You
baroness
know?
is leading it. She's sitting right there going, "Ah, ah,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
give her any mind." And all
Yeah.
they wanted, what do they want? They wanted food, which when we're talking about the basic needs of survival, you would think, "I'm gonna go help her have this baby, and she's gonna give me food just because she's wonderful and appreciates me." And they didn't even think of that. So where did they come from, and who raised them to know what's right and
Yeah.
wrong?
Yeah, right?
Right? It's wrong.
Because when one guy did go and ask for food, they gave him food. He didn't
Yeah.
have to steal. He didn't have to do anything crazy,
But
They were kind people.
doesn't that
And that's
happen
because
in regular.
Margaret and her husband are kind people. And her husband, I forgot his name, but, Margaret's husband, but he felt really awful about the bad things that happened, but he's gotta protect his family.
Mhm. You think about, like, I live in California, and we have a lot of trees here with fruit on it. And so when you're out walking, sometimes you have this temptation to just grab someone's fruit. Well, people write letters about, "Hey, someone touched my tree. They took a lemon." And then but yet, if you go knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'm having a party and I need some, limes for my tequila," they'll be like, "Take whatever you want." If you ask, you get. If you take, people get offended, even if you take one little thing, right? That's the thing about the
That's a good
food.
point.
If they would have just
Yeah,
asked, they might have been like, "Come, let's help you," but they never asked.
that's such a good point. So really, audience, listeners out there, don't be afraid to just go ask, Um, open the door to that conversation
Wait,
and
except you just made me laugh. I'm like, excuse me, your wife is beautiful. Can I have her?" Just kidding. Sorry. But think about that. Wait, we gotta ask in the realm of what is right and wrong, and you know what that is if you're listening right now. You know what's
yeah.
right, you know what's wrong. Even coveting the thought of sleeping with the lady next to you who happens to be married to someone else is supposed to be a bad thing, but it happens. It's much better to have the thought than to have the action.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, we know what's right and wrong, and that movie, I encourage everyone to watch that movie just because it is just it's humanity played out at its most narcissistic, evil ways, and just
Yeah.
things we shouldn't be and things we could be, right?
Yeah. Kudos to Ron Howard for finding that story and bringing it to life, Um, it's back from 1929, almost 100 years old. Look at that. But,
And we
he did
still
a great
have
job.
that and we still have that stuff going on today.
Yep. But it shows you who survived in the end, the people who did good.
Say that
The good
again,
people
Trina. Say that again,
yeah,
Trina.
you say it.
You
Who
say it.
survived? The people who did good, you
Yeah.
know? uh, narcissist died. I'm forgetting. Oh, yeah, he died an awful, slow, torturous death, you know? Love that. And,
Mhm.
that was really horrible for him, and, yeah, everybody that was evil, they all got theirs, and, you know, goodness survived.
And
The good wins.
evil faces pain and destruction in the end. It
Yep.
might look like a fun party today, but in time, when you do good, good always wins,
Mhm.
right?
That's right.
That's one thing we've learned.
Oh, I wanna talk about the ultimate betrayal in here was really dragging others into the collapse, because really, one of the most chilling parts of Eden wasn't just the death, but the collateral damage. The children, the partners, everybody who followed and believed in the Dr. Ritter, I think his name was, other than Margaret and her husband, they all died. Horrible deaths. And, I think the baroness, that was a little different because she had evil in mind too, and I don't know what her end goal was, maybe to I think she wanted to finish off everybody on the island and just take it over,
And have her
yeah.
hotel, and have
Have her
people working for
hotel.
her. She was the queen.
Yeah. Yeah, her entrance cracked me up, to the island. But, yeah, it proves that betrayal doesn't start with cruelty, it starts with that fantasy and the refusal to face reality, and that's exactly like I hate to bring it back to midlife crisis, but it's true. It starts with a fantasy that and instead of reality.
I can have
And
this. I deserve this. I
yeah,
will get this. I will crush everyone to get it doesn't matter who's in my way, I'm gonna take them down. This is
that's
my
true.
life. This is my goal. That is selfishness at its best, and nothing good comes from being selfish. Nothing.
Right. And when someone abandons reality, they will eventually abandon you as well. So and that's exactly what happened.
Mhm.
Even Ritter, the doctor, with his lover or mistress, just the way he treated her in the end.
'Cause he went selfish.
I don't know.
No,
I'm not into somebody sticking a pliers in my mouth, pulling out my tooth, you know?
I can't even imagine anything more horrible. Do you know he took out all of his teeth before he even went to the island because he didn't wanna have any dental issues? He had no
Oh, he
teeth.
did?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's a nice preparation.
Uh-huh.
Oh. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just gives you a little insight into him right there,
Mhm.
you know? That's interesting. I knew I yeah, okay, I didn't know he took out all his teeth. Wow. That's
And
crazy.
people who technically people who decide, "I don't wanna have any friends, I just wanna be by myself," those people to me are scary. I believe in community, and the more people you have around, the more you can grow in love. But if you have someone who, pushes everyone away and wants to be by themselves and lives a solo existence, they
Mhm.
seek survival for self first.
Exactly. Because you don't escape yourself by escaping society.
Ugh.
They say you carry your psychology, your wounds, your power struggles, and your darkness with you, especially into isolation, and that's what they all did. And there was nowhere to run. Nowhere to run to, nowhere to run from, you know? It exposed their character. It didn't heal it at all.
And what a deception that he had to say that Eden was so wonderful and beautiful, and then when people actually come, it's a lie.
Yeah. It's yeah. And he really did a great job of marketing himself and the island because even the what is it? The governor believed everything he had written.
Mhm.
But it's true. Isolation doesn't fix broken people, it unmasks them. And you guys out there, if someone claims they want freedom from control, watch closely because often they want control without accountability.
Ooh, good
And
line.
that
Control
that was
without
what he wanted.
accountability. Say that
Mhm.
again separately so with both of us aren't talking at the same time.
And you guys watch out because if someone claims they want freedom from control, watch closely because often they want control without accountability.
Mhm. That's right.
So be careful. Really look for those red flags. And we saw those red flags. I think, what, a few minutes into the movie, you see the first red flag, then you see more red flags. There were red flags everywhere, you know? But nobody was leaving the island yet.
Um, so I love that today's episode was about a movie that was real. If anyone listening to this, has a movie or something that you've seen or read that you think Trina and I should dissect and divulge into, send it to us. Send it to us at, what's our email address?
Um, why did they snap at gmail.com?
Perfect.
Why did they snap at gmail.com? And we do put on our, I think it's on our Spotify, where if you watch our show on Spotify, we have a poll every week, like, were you betrayed? So answer it and connect with us.
So we want to show you how to deal with betrayal to make you feel like you're not alone. This does happen to people all the time. And it's just, what do you do about it? And for
Yeah.
this episode, you really can't get off the island. But what Margaret did, she did good. And you're going to have to watch the movie to see what she did. Because, yeah, she was brilliant. She fought for what she believed was right and she stayed on her path, which is what, at the end of the day, that's all we can do is know what's right in our own head, mind, and soul, and walk that path.
Exactly.
And it's 30 minutes. Look, we promised you 30 minutes and we've delivered. Quick, easy, fast stories of betrayal. Sign up to get our podcast, sign up to YouTube, and send us anything and everything that you have that you want us to talk about here, because that's what Trina and I are doing. We are here to serve you.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks for joining us today, you guys, on Betrayal. Why did they snap? All right.
God,
Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode. The stories and events discussed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or professional advice. Any names, locations, or identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, or real events are purely coincidental. The information presented on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Always consult with a qualified expert regarding any decisions related to your specific situation. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the podcast creators.